Hello and welcome to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is a new mini-series, Romeo and his Marinette, for the new season of With Love February. So I hope you enjoy it and make sure you smash that like button. Send some love over to Kim for the beautiful stunning picture in the thumbnail. All her information's in the description below. Send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of it and what's going to be happening next. And make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out. And I hope you enjoy. Part 1. Marinette's POV. With only 3 hours of sleep, Marinette rolled out of bed and into school, with a cloud of exhaustion fogging up her mind. All she needed to do was survive a few hours of school with no drama involved and no new Akuma, and then she could crash back into bed. "Hey," she muttered at Alia and Nino as she wrapped her thick cardigan around herself and used her arm as a pillow. She was even too tired to become flustered around Adrien as he ambled into the seat in front of her, not noticing how he too was equally drained. "Hey, back," Alia said, giving her a quizzical look, taking in Adrien and then shooting back a shrug at Nino. "What's up with these two?"
"Beats me. You would think they've been up all night studying together by the looks of them."
They both sniggered at the thought. Alia leaned in a little closer to Nino.
"Yes, she wishes."
Marinette gave her friend a poke in the ribs. "Hey, watch those fingers." "But seriously? Girl, wake up. Miss Boussier is going to give you a note if you're not careful. Why are you so tired anyhow? I'm the one who should be falling asleep on you, being up half of the night taking pictures of last night's battle." Alia gave Marinette another nudge in the ribs.
"But it was worth it alone for the great shot I got of Cat Noir being squeezed hugged by a bear as if he'd been the teddy."
Adrien let out a sigh that no one seemed to notice. But all she could do was let out another moan. Last night's battle had been an exhausting one, as it took her and Cat half of the night trying to figure out where the Akuma was hidden on a giant walking teddy bear, which didn't look like the cuddly kind, but had been a young girl's tease at a sleepover. For the next month, we will be studying Shakespeare, and what better play for February than Romeo and Juliet? Miss Boussier declared at the front of the class to a mixture of responses of cheers and moans. "You will work in pairs to perform a scene from the play in front of the class, and before you ask, I will choose the roles. The first one will be the famous balcony scene between our beloved star-crossed lovers. Now, who will play our Romeo?" Most of the boys shrank back into their seats and avoided eye contact. "Mr. Aggress, since you are so attentive this morning, you shall play our first Romeo." Nino laughed and gave the half-asleep Adrien a gentle shove.
"Yes, miss,"
he muttered, waving his hand in the air. "Excellent, and as for his Juliet," she gazed around the room and smiled at Marinette, "I will choose the other attentive student. Marinette, you will play Juliet." Alia sniggered and gave Marinette another nudge in the ribs. "Girl, you are Juliet and Adrien is Romeo." Alia moved in a little closer. "Now you have your chance." Marinette peeled her eyes open, the words slowly filtering into her mind. What had Alia said? "I'm what?" "Juliet!" Alia's eyes widened with excitement. "And Adrien is Romeo." No, she couldn't. Read, perform as Juliet to Adrien? No, this must be a mistake. Marinette's eyes darted from Alia to Miss Boussier and then finally landed on Adrien, who had an equally confused expression on his face. A hand instantly shot up, trying to grab her teacher's attention. "Miss, I can't. I'm no good at performing." Marinette felt her cheeks go crimson at the mere thought of fumbling over her words in front of the entire class. I will be Juliet if Marinette doesn't want to be, declared Lila from the back row as Marinette saw a look of panic form across Adrien's face, which darted from the back of the room before landing on her. Please, Marinette, Adrien said, pleading, his eyes locking onto her as she received another nudge in her ribs. Marinette threw a glare at Alia to cut out the encouragement, giving her side a quick rub. Oh, ginger snaps. I'll do it, miss, Marinette said in a squeaky voice as a hand landed on either side of her cheeks. What on earth was happening? How was she going to pull this off without making a fool of herself? Thank you, Marinette, and I'm sure you'll be fine. You have plenty of time to practice, and maybe, in the future, don't use my lesson as your nap time. You or Mr. Aggress. Miss Boussier smiled at her, knowing that this was so much worse than receiving a note. As for the rest of the class, Alia and Nino will play Romeo and Juliet from the death scene. Her best friend gave Nino their special high five. Chloe can be... Marinette zoned out as her thoughts descended into an anxiety-fed spiral for the remainder of the class. This was the last thing she needed on top of everything else. Marinette? Adrien's voice brought her out of a continuous loop of failed performances. He was giving her a soft smile, which spread into his warm cheeks. Thanks for agreeing. I'd much prefer you to be my Juliet. I mean co-star. Yeah, how you didn't want to be. So thanks. He rubbed the back of his neck and darted his eyes back onto the play on her desk. She followed his gaze down and saw the image of a more traditional Romeo and Juliet embracing one another on the front cover of the book. Oh, yeah, no problem. I love this play. I mean, I did, but I'm just nervous. I'm not one for, you know. She gestured to the front of the class and then at her fellow students who were packing their bags to leave. Her eyes caught his for a moment, feeling the blush return and then back to the book, brushing a stray piece of hair behind her ear. Well, we could meet up and go over the lines. You could come round to mine, if you want, to rehearse. Adrien placed the last of his books into his bag. In the corner of her eye, she saw Alia's elbow coming towards her, but swerved out of the way with an added warning look at her bestie. Yeah, we could, I could. Great. Adrien beamed for a split second, and then his smile vanished. I can't do this afternoon, Chinese studies, but how about tomorrow? Her eyes widened at the thought of spending the day with him, speaking words of love even though they weren't her own. Saturday? With you? At your house? The soft smile returned to his lips as the red deepened in his cheeks. Yeah, I mean, unless you already have plans. Then she remembered she had arranged to go to the cinema to see the latest viewing of Jagged Stone's new film. Oh, Luca and I were going to... Adrien cast his attention back to his bag as he placed it across his shoulders. Oh, I see. Never mind, we can do it. Marinette was surprised to see a hint of disappointment in his face. Maybe Saturday was the only day he could rehearse with all he needed to fit in with his schedule. Plus, she was sure Luca would understand if she postponed their catch-up. But I suppose I could rearrange with Luca for Sunday instead. So yeah, Saturday would work, if that's best for you. Great. He's free, she's now free. Can we all get to the next class? Nino said, receiving an annoyed look from Alia as they both stood at the doorway of the now empty class. It's Mr. Travers' class. What? He's strict, Nino said, shrugging his shoulders. Marinette finished placing the last of her books inside her backpack, but held on to the copy of the play in her hand. What time will be best? I mean, if you're sure it'll be okay to come around and practice, that is. Adrien stepped down and glanced back at Marinette. I will speak to Natalie.
but I don't see an issue with it. For school, after all. Should we say 9?
9? Oh, day. Suddenly becoming flustered at the thought, Marinette stumbled on the last step as Adrien reached out and grabbed hold of her. The sensation of his fingers pressing into the thick fabric as he continued to hold on as she steadied herself. Yeah, I don't know about you, but Shakespeare has to be one hard to get right. She nodded her head and noticed his hands were still around her waist, but their friends had left. Thanks, Alia. His eyes followed the direction of hers as he jumped back a little, dropping his hold in the process. Nino is right. We had better get to the next class. She picked up her bag, which had dropped in her awkwardness, and pushed that moment out of her head. He was just being kind. It's not that he would mean anything by it, she kept telling herself, feeling the ghost sensation of his touch still pressed into her. During the next lesson, she had come up with a plan not to humiliate herself with Adrien during the project. She would read the entire play at least twice over in the next 24 hours and stream a copy of Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Granted, it wasn't traditional, but it was a great adaptation. She was grateful this one time that Adrien had to go home for lunch today for some sort of fitting, which meant she continued to study, muttering the lines under her breath. Marinette, you know this project only makes up a slither of our grade. You don't have to get it perfect, you know. Plus, like Miss said, we have a few weeks until we need to present it to the rest of the class. So you can chill. You're even making me feel nervous about it. Alia leaned closer and took an apple slice from Marinette's tray, whilst Nino sat back listening to his tunes. But I'm rehearsing with Adrien tomorrow. I need to know it well enough to say the lines in front of him. I mean, I struggle as is with the words in front of him. Never mind being in Shakespearean. Marinette held the play in the air and pointed out some of the words. Thous, dos, canst, thee. I mean, you even spoke like this. Girl, don't give me that. I know you're a fan of Shakespeare and certain sonnets, so why pretend, especially to Adrien, that you don't? Simple, to reduce his expectations. I mean it, Alia. I don't know if I'll be able to get my words out. Being alone with him a whole day? I thought you two were just friends now. After 3 years, you had given up trying to be anything more? Alia raised an eyebrow at her whilst tilting her head to the side. Yeah, I have, but I still don't want to let him down. And the kiss has nothing to do with it? There doesn't need to be a kiss. It's not mentioned in the play. Marinette's fingers skipped over the text. Girl, seriously? It's the balcony scene where they have just declared their love for one another and decided to get married, and you're telling me they wouldn't kiss? Alia raised her eyebrows at Marinette, holding her stare until the words sank in. No, surely not. Adrien wouldn't be thinking, would he? Marinette shook her head rapidly. No, in front of the class? Not in front of the girls. She gestured to the side table which her friends sat round. Then her eyes shot open. Not in front of Chloe and Lila. No, I can't. So you're telling me you are finally going to get a chance to kiss Adrien and you are going to take a pass because of Chloe and Lila? Alia tilted her head forward, searching her bestie's expression. But what if he thinks we are? What if he suggests tomorrow? Never mind in front of the class during the performance. Alia, it's too much. But then, what if he refuses to kiss me? Turns me down as the mere thought makes him uncomfortable. Okay, you're starting to make me feel dizzy with all this back and forth. But I'm sure you'll probably not hit that moment tomorrow. Plus, what's the big deal? It's not like it's your first kiss. Yes, with Adrien, but... Alia paused and read the look on Marinette's face.
I thought you and Luca had when you were dating? That one time in the cinema?
No.
We nearly did, but... Marinette stopped herself from continuing as she kissed Cat a couple of times as Ladybug, but did that count? Are they really classed as kisses? Or would this potential one with Adrien be her first kiss? But could you call it that if it was for a school project? Okay, that changes things a bit, but what if you think of it like this? It's Romeo and Juliet kissing, not Marinette and Adrien. So becoming the character, be like an actor. They kiss all the time and mean nothing by it. Unless you want it to mean something, I'm willing to admit that you still have feelings for Adrien. Grateful for the sound of the bell ringing out around them, Marinette didn't say another word as she picked up a tray and headed off to the afternoon class. Now with the added pressure of not only speaking Shakespeare, words of love to Adrien, but also the idea of a kiss. The rest of the afternoon had been a bit of a daze, ignoring the symbols of pressure of Adrien sitting in front of her and avoiding any eye contact he gave her way. Okay, granted, they had become better friends now. She stammered over her words less, and after 3 years of being friend-zoned, she had given up on the idea that Adrien would see her that way. Plus, there was still the threat of Shadow Moth, which meant even if she wanted a boyfriend, the possibility of having one, keeping one after what had happened to Luca? No, it wasn't meant to be, and doing this play was a distraction for a few weeks, and then everything will go back to how it was before with nothing changing. Then, how had she found herself later that night, standing on her balcony with Romeo and Juliet in her hands, reading out the lines? I, me. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I will no longer be a Capulet. It is but thy name is my enemy. Thou art thyself not a Montague. What's a Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doth thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself. She unclenched the book from her chest and let out a little sigh. I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I'll never be Romeo. Who's there? Kitty, is that you? What are you doing here, spouting out Shakespeare? Marinette leant over the edge and stared down at the figure in the street. Cat, using his baton, rose himself up to her balcony. By a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I written it, I would tear the word. Cat Noir jumped off the railing and gave Marinette a bow. You said it so wonderfully, as if I was looking at Juliet herself, standing out on her balcony, waiting for... I couldn't resist joining in. For a moment, pretending to be your Romeo, and you were my Marinette. He took a step closer to her and gave her a sweet smile. But why is my princess standing on her balcony at night reading such lines? Don't laugh, but it's part of school. I have to perform it in front of the class and rehearse it tomorrow. I wanted to make sure I got the words right. She flicked through the pages and avoided his gaze, which seemed fixed on her. Well, from that performance alone, my princess, I would say you have nothing to worry about. Yes, by myself, or I was when I started. It's different than standing in front of him and performing in front of the class. Why would it be different in front of him? Do you not want to be partnered with him? Is that it? No, it's not that. It's hard to explain, Kitty. I mess up my words around him on the best of days, and then it's just something Alia said has put on this extra burden, that's all. How do you know Shakespeare so well, Kat? Let's just say I'm a kitty with hidden talents. Oh, is that so? She gave him a playful smile back. Then does my kitty have any tips for me, so I don't make a fool of myself? Kat took a step closer and placed his hand on her shoulder, causing her to look up and catch his piercing stare. I would be more worried about your Romeo. How could he compose himself when he has you standing in front of him, playing his Juliet, saying the words like that? Oh, what, Kitty? Would you prefer to be my Romeo? She breathed, knowing a blush was forming on her cheeks equal to his. I would happily be your Romeo, my princess, but I would insist we change the ending. He took a step back, looking a little flustered. But alas, you have been chosen another. I wish him luck, but don't worry about it, princess. I'm sure you'll do great. Thanks for the encouragement, Kitty. She placed her hand on top of his, taken by surprise as he lifted it to his lips, leaving a tingling sensation on her skin. Good night. Who needs a Juliet when you have a Marinette? He said, taking a last look back before jumping off to a nearby roof. Night, Romeo, she called after him. Thank you for listening to part 1 of Romeo and his Marinette. I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 will be coming out next week, so make sure you smash that like button. Comment down below what you thought of this one and what will happen next week, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out. And I am so excited with Love February. There is so much planned, this and other one-shots and the new series Modern Beauty and the Beast that you all voted for, which will be coming very soon. So yeah, make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on any of this. I hope you're good, and I will speak to you soon. Bye. Ay me. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name? Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I will no longer be a Capulet. It is but thy name is my enemy. Thou art thyself not a Montague. What's a Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doth thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.